First thing, what made you decide to run for city council?
I ran in 2019. I came very close to winning. And that time I decided to run because I felt that we needed representation at the city council level from people like me, being a renter, being a single income family, single mother, being an educator and a scientist. And those things, exactly those same things are still valid today, which is when Kate Burke said that she's not running, I decided to put my hat into the ring.
And what are some of the biggest issues facing the city in your eyes?
The city or just my district?
Your district, how about that?
Right, because the District 1, I believe, is unique. We have very unique needs and issues that are not necessarily true of the entire city. So I am running basically because I want to bring representation from District 1. The biggest issue, of course, that we have in our area is that we don't have affordable housing. There are a lot of people living here in this district who are in the same situation as I am, who are single income families, for instance, people who live on fixed income, like most of our senior citizens do. Payouts have not gone up in the last recent 3 years, at least that I know of. My pay hadn't increased in 3 years. So I was struggling to put food on the table. So, a lot of people in the same situation as I am. Once you pay your rent or your mortgage, once you've paid your daycare expenses, there's nothing left over to flex back on except where food is concerned, or perhaps you can cut back on medicine. And a lot of our senior citizens at the doors that I've been talking to have been telling me the same thing. So a lot of folks, senior citizens, people like me who cannot afford very high rents or mortgages, are being priced out of our homes right this minute. And so this is the biggest issue. Then, of course, the infrastructure. We have 61 miles of unpaved streets and roads in District 1. I want to make sure that we address that. And definitely the topmost priority is to get rent and utility assistance and mortgage assistance to people who are struggling to make those payments, like whether they are homeowners or renters or small business owners, because business owners are also renters and mortgage owners. And 30% businesses have gone under in the last 1 year, more than 30% actually. And we know that this District 1 is the largest generator of sales tax for the entire city of Spokane. So we want to be making sure that our families can get back to work and that they have the ability to do what they need to do, and basically just get people back to work, and so that they can earn the money and take the money back home to their families, and the families are thriving.
All right, and I guess just the same question, but on the whole city scale, what do you think the biggest problems for the whole city are?
Affordable housing, affordable housing, affordable housing. Those are the biggest three issues, because we can't do much more, whether it's infrastructure or anything. We need the affordable housing, we need duplexes, we need fourplexes, we need multifamily zoning, we need upzoning, and we need to be ready for growth.
All right, and kind of a similar question, but what issues do you think need to be tackled first if you win the seat?
If I do get elected to city council, then the first thing that I want to address is the fact that the eviction moratorium is going to end of this month. The governor used a bridge program to make sure that people were kind of taken care of until the end of this month. But what I wanted the city government to do is to look into extending that eviction moratorium until March. There's a very good reason for that. The ARPA dollars that have been brought into as grants and federal grant money that has come in to use for rents, and for people who are behind on their utility and mainly behind on their rents, right? Whether the money is going into the landowners, the homeowners pocket, or it's going into the renters pocket. $5.3 million have been disbursed so far. The agencies that are there to process the applications are backlogged. There is so much demand, and people are just, I'm really worried because we don't have that many shelters out there, and it's going to be cold. We might have snow on the ground. And so the first thing that I'm going to be looking at is hoping that, we can extend the eviction moratorium at least until March so that people can stay housed. Money coming in, $15.1 million is still on its way to us. so we have the money, we just need the time for the agencies that are helping disperse these funds, whether it's going to landlords, well, it should actually go to landlords so that they can pay their mortgages and whatever they need to do so that people can stay housed and we can create the stability. So that's literally, I think, probably going to be my biggest focus.
All right, and well, that leads perfectly to my next question, which is how do you plan on addressing Spokane's housing crisis?
I think I've been talking about that for the past 10 minutes. Well, okay, so housing is a human right. I am one of those folks who lives one missed paycheck away from being on the street. We do need to make sure that people can get safely back to work. For that, whatever kind of mandates that are in existence, whatever we need to do to make sure that people need get the help that they need. And once we have all that in place and we need to build. We have the North-South freeway going over here. We probably need to look at STA to see what kind of land is going to be available. And perhaps we need to build. We need to be building right now. And so that's, I think, finding the space, making sure we have the kind of, we're thousands of units short. So we need to make sure that we are addressing that immediately so that people can stay housed and that there is affordable housing available for people to be able to move into. Section 8 vouchers, there's a 3-year wait list right now. So we need to build.
All right, and just so you know, I have a list of questions I ask everyone. So if they seem repetitive, I'm sorry, but this is how we're trying to do it to keep it fair between the interviews. And there's a follow-up to that. So do you think Spokane needs more single family homes, more high density housing like apartment complexes, or a mixture?
We need a mixture. It just depends on where we're going to put it and what the demands of the area are. But I feel like in my district, definitely we need upzoning near, say, the Northtown Mall area. I've talked about this at length to a lot of folks. So if people are listening to this and going like, oh yeah, she said that before. Fact is, it's true. If grandma's living in a home that she can't afford to pay the mortgage on, or most of her money is going into the mortgage, there's nothing left over to take it out and go spend at the malls. The malls are dying in that area. So that whole area is traveled by Nevada and Division. And we have such good, the City Line transit area situation. If we build 5 levels of affordable apartments on top of Northtown Mall, for instance, and we upzone it, we rezone that whole area, that will help with density. It will mean that people can come home from work. Like this is something, the housing first model, right? So we need that to begin with, to keep people housed and to combat people being priced out of the city, and to keep it affordable, and so that we have the density, we have the infill, we have people who are able to spend their money at all these different avenues that they need to keep our economy running smoothly. Does that answer your question?
Yeah, and then kind of switching gears a little bit, but kind of along the same sort of topic, homelessness has been a big issue in Spokane for years now. And so if you win office, how do you plan on addressing homelessness in Spokane?
As I said, housing is a human right. We have to make sure that we have all kinds of housing available. We need to be building right away. We need to make sure that people who need help get the help that they need. We don't sit on the ARPA dollars that are coming in so that people can stay housed. We need to create that stability, and we need to build. That's what we need to do.
All right, and I'll switch a little bit here to a different topic, business. We're still in the pandemic for more than a year now, and sadly some businesses have shut their doors, but also some businesses have came to Spokane. So I guess now that we're coming hopefully nearer to the end of the pandemic, how do you plan on, supporting businesses and maybe trying to get more businesses to open their doors in Spokane?
I feel Spokane has diversified a lot since I've lived here. I've lived here 10 years. And when I moved here, it wasn't easy to find. I mean, so even just looking at restaurants, for instance, the kind of restaurants that we have, the kind of cuisine that we have available, that's just a very basic description of, talking about businesses. But at the end of the day, District 1, again, I'm going to talk about my district because I think that's where the biggest issues are. It's the largest generator of sales tax for the entire city of Spokane. And as I said earlier, 61 miles of unpaved streets and roads. Once that freeway is finished being built, the industrial park area is going to mushroom overnight. That growth is going to happen. And the city needs to look at how we can incentivize, how we can maybe pave the streets and roads and be ready with sewage connections and electricity connections and landscaping and put the curbs in so that when a small business comes in, they don't have to spend the money to get all that up and ready and going, because by virtue of definition, a small business is a small business. They don't have a ton of money. They want to just get in and they want to start making money so that they can start paying off on their loans and debts, etc. So we really need to help businesses be successful by actually laying the groundwork. And that's what I think is most important for the upcoming 5 years, 6 years or so.
All right, I'll move on to one of our last topics on our list, and that's public safety. That's also been in the limelight in the last year or two. I guess, how do you plan on addressing any public safety concerns, or what do you want to do in that area if you win office?
Public safety, you're absolutely right, is a huge concern. We need to make sure that whether it's firefighters, whether our EMT, whether it's police department, we are properly staffed, we are properly trained, we have the tools that we need to do to make sure that people are safe and they're taken care of. And, our motto is to protect and to serve. People need the protection, they need the service. As far as policing goes, I am definitely for making sure that people we hire are from the communities that they are going to serve, so that they have the built connections to be able to get along with folks, and they understand the needs of that community and where they're coming from or what's happening in there. They have like a finger on the pulse of the community. That's really, really important. So community-minded policing, community-based policing, that's really important. The rest of it, the EMT aspect of it, whether we're looking at firefighters, we do need to make sure that our firefighters, our EMT personnel have the wages that they need to be able to serve properly. We have shortfalls in our numbers. We need to make sure that we hire people, and just, look at the fire season, right? And we have such a huge demand and such a huge burden on our firefighters year in, year out recently. And so we need to be thinking in terms of how we can help address those issues, whether it's the lands commissioner, or working with grants and help from outside of Spokane, because we do, if there is need, our folks end up, whether it's health and human services or whether it's firefighting or whichever, if there is need, we do go and address needs outside of the city of Spokane. So we need to be equipped for that.
All right.
That's what I would do.
All right, just two last questions. There's a lot of money in the city council race, like usual. I guess just how big of an influence would you say your biggest donors have had on either your campaign or your platform as you move closer to the election?
Mine is a grassroots organization. It's a grassroots campaign. 10 years before I moved to Spokane, I didn't know a single soul. My biggest donors are $1,000 donors, mostly the unions, actually. I have been blessed to get a lot of endorsements from them. I'm a unionized campaign. I'm a union sibling. So of course I believe in workers' rights. I believe in fair wages, and therefore I believe in unionizing. I believe in campaigning, organizing. And so resultantly, that is a big deal for me, to make sure that, middle class America was built on the back of unions. That's the first history lesson I got when I moved to the States. So, that's, for me, is a big deal. And it offers me protection as an employer as well, because I'm also kind of covered by knowing that I'm not paying over the top or unfairly, or being demanded of unfairly, so that's important to me. My donors, I know this is because the Realtors PAC came in and helped my opponent's race. I was looking at the PDC earlier today, and I think there's like $126,000 in just his race alone have been put into his race as an independent expenditure. And I've seen some of those hate ads that have come my way. They even sent it to me. It was like, were they trying to, like, here you go, Naghmana, we're sending this to you so you know what we think of you. It's been interesting, but suffice to say, my campaign funds have been raised by local groups, by people that I know in Seattle. Mostly it's people that I know.
And so if I was an undecided voter in your district and you had 30 seconds to try to win my vote, what would you say?
Simple and easy. I am a renter. I am a single mother. I'm an immigrant. I am one of those people who lives one missed paycheck away from being on the street. I earn what I eat. Nobody like me is represented at the Spokane City Council right now. Everyone on Spokane City Council is a homeowner. Nothing wrong with that. I would love to be one. I just don't make that kind of money. I just feel that voices like mine need to be represented at Spokane City level.